Look at all that money, yeah, the money that they've spent. Take another look and take some time for him. Don't cut trees for paper, 'cause it hurts the environment. Stop deforestation, yeah, it's time for him. Well, an acre of hemp makes 20 barrels of oil. No need for pesticides to poison all our soil. People got no food, they got no clothes, they got no rent. Well, it's time for hemp.
Yes, it is. It is time for hemp. Thank you for tuning in to the big broadcast today. And as always, we are going to put a spotlight on an amazing plant called cannabis hemp. And don't forget, we got a lot of things going on with this plant in Congress, and a variety of states are trying to turn this prohibition thing back around to the middle of the last century. We got a lot of things to talk about on that scale too. We understand that there's problems that need to be resolved. And at the same time, we have some expertise from the past on the program today, people who have been active in the cannabis hemp movement since the 1980s. Oh my golly. And that is, I think, true of my joint host in Canada, Mr. Al Graham. I think, Al, when did you start being a hemp activist? Was it the 1980s?
Well, my full time, basically going at it full time, was when I got sick with Crohn's disease. And that was actually early 2000 is when that was. So
all right.
26 years ago now.
So yeah,
now before then, I was doing stuff that was more on the recreational.
So, and then you started broadcasting to the whole world about it because you learned how fantastic medical cannabis was, and you just couldn't shut up about it, could you?
Correct. Unlike a lot of patients, when they find out the benefits of cannabis, you have to speak up and let everybody know, because you get sick and tired of all the propaganda that's saying the complete opposite to what you're feeling and experiencing.
And you are now broadcasting the truth all around the world, right?
Yeah. Yep. Paceradio.net. That's where you're going to find information on cannabis as well as psychedelics. It may say radio in the name, but we do stuff in video as well. So,
and you do amazing work. You do. You do amazing work.
Yeah.
And we've also got another joint guest on the joint host on the program today, and he wrote a ruby little book called For Country and Cannabis, and that is Al Byrne. Hey, Al.
Hi, guys. Nice to be here as always. Yep, I wrote that book. It's a very good book. I recommend it, of course, for everybody. It's a history book about medical cannabis. It just didn't happen. I started my little public display of cannabis education in, I guess, 1983. So I'm sort of the guy he's talking about. But that book explains why I came to believe medical cannabis, which also started with a patient who was my dad, and he was dying. And I was 21. I just got in the Navy, and I watched him go away with liver cancer and radiation and chemotherapy back then. This in the 60s. It was awful. It's worse now. It's not as bad now, but it was unbelievably bad. Anyway, he was dying, and I got him to try some cannabis based on his doctor's recommendation, and he tried it, and yes, he died, but he died comfortably. He died without much pain. He died without the nausea. The continual nausea went away almost instantly. And so I gathered that up as a young man, and when I got out of the Navy and in my 40s, early 40s, I went public, and it's all in the book. And in the book is all of the people that had an impact on the medical cannabis discussion here in the United States and overseas. A lot of overseas folks helped us to get this done in the United States, and now as we speak, and I know I'm not supposed to date anything, but the President of the United States has released cannabis from the most prohibited level. And so our government now is taking a look at exactly where to put it. I hope they put it in no classification at all, but at least it's out of prohibited. So now we can really openly talk about it. We can be honest. We can do research that counts, et cetera, et cetera. And to help us do all that, we need educators. I consider myself an educator. My book is written to educate. And the next guest we have, I consider an educator. Now, he's done other things, and we'll find out about it. He's lived in Hawaii. He's been a professional diver. He's been all over the damn place. He's written 5 books, which is why I consider him an educator. So let's please welcome Paul. Can you get Paul J. von Hartmann?
Welcome, Paul.
Hi, Paul.
Hi there. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Hey, we really appreciate you coming on to the broadcast.
So how did you get involved in being a cannabis activist? And was it you also involved in the 1980s?
You know, I was the director for Sea Shepherd in Hawaii after, a decade of cannabis use as, recreational and medicinal. And when I learned about cannabis being nutritious, the seed nutrition, and that you could make energy from the same harvest as you were producing food, I immediately understood that was the real motivation for prohibition, because the marijuana industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry, but the industrial hemp industry is a multi-trillion-dollar industry. And so I turned Sea Shepherd over to my friend Tim Carr and his wife Linda, and I founded Project Peace, which is an individual project to challenge the rightful jurisdiction of the court over a unique and essential natural resource given to us by God.
So what? See, what is it again? See what?
Sea Shepherd.
What is that all about, Paul?
Well, Sea Shepherd is the most aggressive environmental group on the planet. We've actually been responsible for sinking several pirate whaling ships on enforcing maritime law, taking responsibility for all of our actions, and never hurting anybody. We break the machinery, or we confiscate the nets that are being used to murder the ocean. And there comes a point when just protesting isn't enough. Nobody died for the freedom to complain. And when we see our planet being plundered for profit by people who don't honor nature, don't have any respect for nature, then it's up to us to enforce respect for nature.
You don't get enough cooperation from governments?
No. In fact, I was first time I defended myself in federal court was in Hawaii against the Department of Commerce, because as the director for Sea Shepherd, I exposed a daisy chain between the Department of Commerce, the National Marine Fisheries Service, and the Pacific Whale Foundation, which is granted a research license by the National Marine Fisheries Service, which is a subdivision of the Department of Commerce. And so they sent a federal judge out from Washington to find me guilty of something that I didn't do, in spite of the evidence. I had video evidence that showed what happened, and it was a whole it was very intriguing. It was full of intrigue, let's put it that way.
But it didn't have any cannabis. There was, at that point in time, you hadn't moved to the cannabis issue.
Well, I learned about hemp for fuel in 1991 when I saw Chris Conrad wearing a 3-cornered hat on the public broadcasting network, a program called The 90s. And
I remember.
I came up off the floor when he started talking about cannabis for fuel. And I said, well, that's why it's illegal. It's the only crop that can make fossil fuels and wars for oil obsolete. And I made that point with Daniel Shore on National Public Radio in 1991 during the Gulf War. And I explained to him on a program called Talk of the Nation.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, well, he was the host of it, and he interviewed me for like 15 minutes about hemp and how hemp could make wars for oil obsolete.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was
then-
a major victory right at the beginning.
Yeah, that's so that's back in '91. Yeah, you were right on the forefront there, because that's the year that NORML broke the medical cannabis issue open with C-SPAN and all. So you were right there at the beginning of that. Did I
Yeah.
know you back then? Did we know each other?
You know what? I think we've crossed paths many times, but there's always so many people out,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know. I mean, I've been up at Hemp Fest. I was a speaker at Hemp Fest in Seattle 3 times. I've been at Hempapalooza and you know,
Right.
other hemp events speaking about all kinds
Yeah.
of stuff.
Yeah,
and
you were
Paul and
so-
I, Paul and I
you
were
were so
both
far ahead
surprised
of
that
the-
we hadn't had a chance to meet each other until here recently, because like you mentioned, Al, we run in the same circles. We do the same people. We learn from the same, like Jack Hare and Chris Conrad and Dennis Perot and, you know, and Rowdy Mary. But I think like he was there on Monday and I was there on Tuesday, and then you were there on Wednesday. So we were there, but not at the same time. Well, kind of, but no.
Well, after you
So-
saw Chris, did you go into, would you start reading, or what the hell did you do? How'd you get smart?
Well, somebody told me I should get in touch with Roger Christie on the Big Island.
There you go.
I was on Maui at the time, and I got a hold of Roger, and I sent a registered letter to the state attorney general, Warren Price, who was a crazy cannabis, prohibitionist attorney general. And I challenged him to take responsibility for the true essential value of cannabis as a strategic resource. And told him I was going to be planting cannabis publicly under the banyan tree in Lahaina on January 1st, 1992, and which I did with Roger Christie's help. Roger came over and he brought me my first copy of The Emperor, and I went through it 1,000 times. You can see Jack's wrote all over it.
Yeah.
And there's Roger wrote all over it too. But I took this to Honolulu December 7th, 1991, and chased George Bush all over Honolulu, from Punch Bowl Cemetery down to the Pearl Harbor park, essentially. I mean, it's also a military base, but I got escorted off of Pearl Harbor by the Smokey Bear hats, and was put out on the street in front of the park there, and there were thousands of people protesting out in front of Pearl Harbor. But in the Sunday edition of the Honolulu Advertiser, out of all these thousands of protesters, I was the only one out there talking about hemp, and I was the only protester named in the article following the 50th anniversary memorial of the Pearl Harbor attack. And I was reported as beating the drum for hemp.
Oh, good for you. Somebody had to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was just
and you're
another.
right, because there were like 5 of us back then, maybe 7 of us, and that was it.
Well, the
No,
thing is, I wound up getting press for it early on. And that was just another piece that I go down to Kinko's and make copies of and document, the due diligence in pointing out that the government can't possibly have rightful jurisdiction over this crop because it's both unique and essential and God given. Drugs don't make seeds, herbs make seeds. And God said on the first page of the Bible twice, I've given you every herb bearing seed and every green herb. And so that has legal purchase. The prohibition laws are void for vagueness. They were never legitimate to begin with, so we don't have to change them. We just need to abandon them. And
yeah, well, if you really look at it, there's about 550,000 drugs available to us. Cannabis is a plant, and cannabis has its own world.
Yeah.
It's not treated like the other 550,000 drugs. It's not treated like the other billion plants. I don't know how many plants there are, but it's got its own thing. And I've been doing this since, like I said, and I have no idea why it's its own thing. It's a friggin' plant. As Paul says, it's so many uses, from nutrition, as you mentioned, to the building aspects, the fiber, the health of it all, the food. It's I just don't know why it's so unique. Do you have a clue why it's
Oh,
all
yeah.
by its? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Well, cannabis is the only crop that produces complete essential nutrition and an abundance of clean energy from the same organic harvest in more countries with more environmental and agronomic benefits, more safe and effective herbal therapeutics, a wider variety of industrial feedstocks, entheogens, euphorics, in less time than any other plant. And
So it's too good.
well, it's too good to ignore. That was the title of the first article that they wrote about me in the Maui News in '91.
Uh-huh.
Hemp, pipe dream, or too good to ignore. That was
Right.
my phrase exactly.
I like that. Too good to ignore. I also
Yeah.
see it. It's what I meant was it's too good for the competition.
Well, in a truly free market, which we've never known,
Right.
the world's most valuable agricultural resource would be allowed to compete on a level playing field without burdening it with bureaucratic and suppression and fees, and all based on the myth of cannabinoid toxicity, which was dispelled in 1990 when Ralph Mishulam introduced us to the endogenous cannabinoid system, which predates our species by 600 million years.
Well, you
Just
got
a
to give
few.
things time.
Well,
What's the
it's time
rush?
for hemp, isn't it?
It is time for him.
Yeah.
So, but it is hard to. I mean, as you talk, I'm flashing back to 1991, 93, when when we had Hemp Fest, and it really was like 5 cardboard tables, and we say, "Come get some free cannabis," and people show up, and we had free hemp bands, and Brownie Mary, and
There we go. There's Brownie Mary right there.
Brownie Mary right there.
That's Mary Rathbone, folks. She was a volunteer in San Francisco who made brownies, cannabis-laced brownies, and delivered them to hospitals with pretty much the permission of the doctors and nurses she worked with. Of course, the cops hated her, but they harassed her. She didn't care. She just went right back.
Oh gosh, she was arrested, and she just told them, I'm never going to stop doing this. You can arrest me if you want to. She had such an interesting backstory and her activism was so inspiring to so many people, and we were all, we're all standing on the shoulders of giants like Brownie Mary and Dennis Perone and Todd McArea, and I encourage you guys to find my interview with Dr. Todd on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, because it is just one of the most eloquent and insightful interviews with him that I've seen, and I'm proud to have sat down with him in Berkeley and filmed it at his house.
I've got one on my website that I did with him, a video as well. And you're right, it was right after he and Dennis got done with Prop P.
Yep.
And they had one Prop P.
Yeah.
And
for the audience
in DC, and you're right, he was so elegant, so courteous, so polite, so down to earth, just really, and he was very smart and had a lot to lose. He had to put a lot on the line, but he didn't care. He put on his suit and went out and spoke about medical cannabis as being a need for patients, and he really put a lot on the line, especially back then. I know. Well,
he defected from the Beltway. They headhunted him into the Beltway. And he saw the guts of that administration, and McCaffrey, and he describes it in the typical Dr. Todd kind of
understated.
So funny. He's so funny. It's really wonderful to watch him crack himself up.
They're for the audience, they're both talking about a doctor, a medical doctor, a psychiatrist named Todd McArea. Todd was, as Paul has indicated, he started out in the Beltway. He published a paper called the Marijuana Papers in the 70s. And basically what he had done is he collected a lot of medical cannabis information from history and put it together, and that really pissed off people in DC. And he had a hard time with them for the rest of his life, but he just told them to go stuff it. I'm proud to say Todd was on my board of advisors for Patients at a Time, and he was a stalwart in our conferences. He'd get right up there in front of his doctors and PhDs, and he'd tell them how it was. And if they didn't argue with him, he was a sensational man. And one of the guys, he's in my book. He's all over the book. Paul, I think we need to bring this up because we're going to leave here in a couple of minutes. But I'm kind of transfixed with the picture behind you of a type of sea turtle. What is it? Which kind?
It's a Pacific green sea turtle that I photographed off the island of Maui at a place called Five Graves, and it is an exceptional example of a very large turtle with a very clean shell. So you can see all the plates of the shell individually, and it's a portrait of evolution, really. This ancient species that's so perfectly adapted to its environment and so in harmony with its environment. And it revealed to me the absolute perfection of evolution, and how we as a species, mankind, has been, we have all been born into a social evolution that has no respect for the 35 million year old history of cannabis, and how
how big is that critter?
That's what
that critter right there was about 4 feet in diameter.
Diameter.
Yeah, it was about as big as that that photograph.
So we're into what, 500-600 pounds or more?
Oh yeah, I would think.
Wow.
But the thing is, the magnificent thing is, I'm going to go ahead and just lift this up so you guys can really see this. But you can see the shell
Oh, it's clean.
and the rear appendages. The one facing the nearest to the lens of the camera looks big and clunky, but the one that's furthest away is very delicate and thin. And so it really does show you the perfection of design in that evolution has achieved. And it is just at the peak of its stroke, because a fraction of a second after this photograph was made, the turtle disappeared like it had never been there. And so I was very lucky in capturing this photograph, and it's one of my favorites. I have thousands of photographs from around the world.
Al Graham, can we show a display of this man's work here for our?
Yes, I'll bring that up.
Yeah, take a look at these guys, and these books I'm sure are available just like mine, Paul. Is that right?
Yeah, these are available to read right now. There's no paywall or anything, but it's at brightonlearn.ai, and it is a publishing app that was developed by Mike Adams, the health ranger, and I have published 4 books in the last month, whereas it took me 7 years to write my first book, which is Cannabis versus Climate Change, and it's available on Amazon. But my other 4 books are available to read for free today, because the importance of the information and the time, the window of opportunity for making a difference is closing at an accelerating rate. And so there's no time to waste in sharing this information.
That's very generous of you, and wise, and meets I think our communal goal here, at least the 4 of us, of bringing education to the conversation to displace ignorance. So,
well,
yeah,
it's part of the dolphin economics, where you help me, help you, help everyone, or I help you, help everyone. And it's a 35 million year old economic system that we need to learn in the next 3 months.
Yeah, we'll work on that. But in the meantime, we happen to know, because we know a lot of stuff, that you were involved in European endeavor in the Netherlands back in the day, and you did something that was important. What was it?
Well, there were a few things that happened back then. I left the United States in 1996 after being convicted as a tax protester for refusing to give money to a government that puts people in jail for growing their own medicine. Because taking a safe and effective herbal therapeutic away from somebody who's in pain is no different than torturing somebody who's otherwise well. And so I flew to the Netherlands, and I helped to start Green Prisoners Release Amsterdam, which became the Cannabis College in Amsterdam. And during that time, I wrote a 25-page essay entitled "The Fundamental Challenge of Our Time," which was translated into the Dutch language and adopted as the manifesto for the world's first cannabis college. And it was a huge honor for me. I'm an American in Holland, being so welcomed and my work so celebrated. I was really humbled by it.
Yeah, really, that's pretty good. What did the college do?
We taught people about cannabis, every aspect of it, and the history of it. We had a garden I helped to build down in the basement of the building, and
Okay.
people would pay a few guilders to go down and check out the cannabis garden.
Hands-on experience.
Hands-on experience, definitely.
It sounds like that's the you were the prototype for Oaksterdam.
Well, actually, yeah, quite different though, because we gave away knowledge. We taught people for free, and it was really for me. It was sort of like the cannabis equivalent of Sea Shepherd. Nobody got paid at Sea Shepherd either, and we were risking our lives, and in our own way, and certainly in my trajectory as a cannabis scholar, I've risked my life for this plant, and it has paid dividends in helping me to help others.
Well, now one thing I can't get my mind around. I mean, if I had plans to go do some type of event, and one of the owls said to me, Casper, if you do that, you're going to get arrested. They're going to put your ass in jail. I'd be like, I got a dog to take care of. I like to eat, my own cooking. So maybe I won't go do that. But you seem to embrace this. I mean,
well, fear is the one bad habit I never acquired. I've never been afraid of anything, and I'm still not afraid of anything, and apparently that's hereditary. My grandfather was the 7th man ever to fly an airplane. He was a squadron leader for Tsar Nicholas II in 1913, and my dad went through World War II with the 3rd Marines at Bougainville and other major battles, and he was a radio man, which the first guys up the beach.
Yeah.
But
you got a gene going there. Well, we know a lot of things, the audience, and so I'm going to ask another question I know the answer to. You have had experience as a father dealing with a child using cannabis. Would you tell us about that, please?
Oh yeah, that's a really important story. Very important experience in my life. When my son was 4 years old in 2011, his mom took him up sledding without a helmet, and he went down a hill and hit a tree and fractured his skull. And
oh my.
yeah, I got the call from the emergency room at 11 at night. I was down in the Bay Area.
Oh, geez.
And yeah, and so I drove up with my smoking stash, which was the only cannabis I had access to, which I mixed into a green drink for him as soon as I got up to Mount Shasta where he was. And it was within 24 hours of the concussion. And when I got there, he was on the couch, and he had been on the couch ever since the accident. And he was completely subdued and low energy and not hungry. And so I made him a green drink with cannabis, knowing that it had neuroprotective benefit within 24 hours. And within 30 minutes of him drinking it, he was off the couch playing with his toys.
Huh. Wow.
Within 30 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And so at that point, we had an MRI done, and it revealed a blood mass inside of his skull. So he had to be flown down to UC Davis Pediatric Hospital, where a craniotomy was performed on him. And I didn't know if I was going to be talking with doctors or sheriffs when I got there. And because he was fully loaded with cannabinoids, and I had secured a prescription for him from Dr. William Courtney, who is another hero of the cannabis culture.
You got that right.
Needs to be celebrated. He and his wife Kristen are my heroes and dear friends. And William approved the prescription over the phone for free.
Nice.
He's just that kind of guy. And,
Nice. Yeah.
and he knew that I knew, and he understood what I understood. And so it was nice to have that as I was driving down to Sacramento from Mount Shasta. And I will forever be in his debt for doing that. But within 30 days of the craniotomy, my son had a clean bill of health, full recovery, 100%. 30 days.
So the operating folks, the guys that get the blood out of there, did they have a comment about inflammation? Did they have anything to say? Because it sounds to me that you did the absolutely right thing. That the inflammation is the brain killer, and cannabis is a noted anti-inflammatory. So it all makes sense to me. And by the way, to the audience again, Dr. Courtney has been interviewed by us. It's in our archives at timeforhemp.news, and it's fascinating. It's all about nutrition, but he has a lot to say, and he has his own. I'll answer your questions for free webpage too, so you need to look him up. Well, so
that was the other thing that I did in Holland when I was there in 1997. It came to me as I was watering my cannabis plants that if any part of the plant was good for you, then what would happen if you combined all parts of the plant? And so I started combining the roots, the seeds, the leaves, the male flowers, the female flowers, all into spring water, blended and strained.
Don't it taste nasty?
No, it tastes delicious. It's absolutely delicious. And I believe it reverses the degenerative aging process. And
well, are you 112 or some shit?
No, he said before he's 92. Leave him alone.
I'm older than duct tape.
You remember it coming out, do you?
Hey, so listen, how's your son? Did he grow up healthy and all that?
Oh my gosh, he's built like Captain America. He's the smartest kid you'd ever want to meet. He's also one of the most polite and knowledgeable people you'd ever want to meet. He began studying the westward expansion of the United States and the Civil War, and then into World War II and Vietnam and World War I. He's a scholar of war, and he's planning to enlist in the fall, in the spring. But he is he also was voted most likely to get canceled by his high school graduating class.
Now, as far as you mentioned,
I did the Navy, and Casper did the Army. Where's he want to go?
He's looking at I think he's looking at the National Guard, because he wants to defend this country. He wants to stay home and defend this country. He doesn't want to go fight other people's wars.
Well, I understand that, but I'll tell you what, I'm a non-vet. There are a hell of a lot of National Guard guys walking around over there. So, if it really gets serious, they go. But yeah, well, good for him.
Well, he's prepared for that as well. He actually originally wanted to be an Army Ranger.
Oh, well, that's a little different now.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned you gave your son that drink before he went into the hospital for the operation.
Yeah.
What did you do afterwards, after the surgery? Did you keep him on this drink or any other cannabis regimen when you brought him home?
Well, certainly within the first month after his operation, I was making him green drink every day. And but also, my available, I had a limited amount of material to work
Sure.
with.
Yeah.
And fortunately, the stash that I had when I first got to him was less than 3 months old, so it had not decarboxylated, and it was non-psychoactive. And I was running out of of stash,
Sure.
and so I just kept giving him hemp seed milk that I made fresh from seed that I imported from Canada.
Okay.
And it was steam sterilized, but it was whole seed that I would blend.
Blend.
Yeah.
Yeah, hemp milk.
Yep.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
again
buy
with
that
the
strand.
audience. There's two big things here. Hemp seed is the most nutritious little critter on the face of the earth. It's just full of everything good that you want to put in your body or your boy's body. So, you're right there. And the other thing is the consistency of dosing. We have heard that over and over again, that in the repair of the body, there's consistency and moderation, if you will, but consistency is a big thing. And the other thing you mentioned, and it's just passed over me, but I think it goes to the nutritional element again, where and we have to go back to what Paul said at the beginning of the show, the other show, which was we have this thing called the endocannabinoid system. And it runs everything. And it's not only just in the human body, it's in every living creature on earth except insects. Anything you can think of, from a fish to an American eagle, it's in there, your dog and you. So you want to, if you got a problem with your health, you feed the endocannabinoid system. What do you feed it? You feed it cannabinoids. And that's exactly what Paul did with his son.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the patent on cannabis that is held by the U.S. government is specifically for that. And it identifies the antioxidative effects of cannabinoids in limiting the damage, the oxidative damage done to the brain by severe head trauma. And so cannabis is one of the most under-recognized first aid remedies that there is. It's an effective first aid remedy for several injuries, but severe head trauma definitely, because within 24 hours of the event, you want cannabinoids to go in and limit the oxidative damage. That's
let me underscore
beginning.
that, because this Citizen Green TV is very interested in Veterans Affairs. What Paul just said about the immediacy of giving the medicine to the head injury. Israel had their medics, their combat medics, carry in their gear a oral mucosal spray like Sativex, but it isn't. And they spray it in the injured soldier's mouth. It's immediately absorbed into the blood system, immediately through the oral mucosals. And it's cannabis. It's fecal oil. Dr. Meshulam, again from Israel, developed this process, and the Israeli army adopted it instantly, because just what Paul says, the soldier gets hurt, the medic is there in minutes, if not seconds, and this cannabis is the first thing that medic does.
Well, we are down to the last couple of minutes of this half hour. I can't believe it went by so fast. Paul, you want to give a shout out to any particular website or organization you want people to be aware of?
Well, sure. I founded the California Cannabis Ministry when my son was born, because the spiritual dimensions of agriculture are the foundational spirituality of the world's oldest global culture, which is the cannabis culture. And the idea was to develop an individual ministry, a secular ministry that demonstrates respect for nature and the golden rule. And those are the only two tenets of the ministry. And I started the Southern Oregon Ministry Alliance when I moved up to Oregon to act as an umbrella alliance, informal alliance, between other individual ministers or other ministries that both respect nature and honor the golden rule. Because that's the road to peace.
Yeah, that's important. Very important. Yes. All right.
Yes,
well,
yes.
and we'll have to have you back as a guest again in the future.
Thank
And
you.
Al Graham, again, people can listen to the truth about hemp in Canada where?
That paceradio.net. You'll be getting a new show every day of the week and catch it all again on Saturday.
And Al Byrne, this wonderful book that you've written, people can find it where?
Everywhere. And again, for everybody that's interested, everybody mentioned in this half hour of the show is in that book too. That book covers 40 years, by the way.
Wow.
My personal experience of cannabis.
And I want to remind people that we've also got 30 years of archive that you can enjoy for free. Find the founders of the cannabis hemp movement talking about why they got busy making the world a better place and utilizing hemp as a way of saving this planet. And lots of free music to download. Timeforhemp.news. Please go there, share us with your friends, and let the whole world know how important it is to take time for hemp.
Look at all that money, yeah, the money that they've spent. Take another look and take some time for him. Don't cut trees for paper, 'cause it hurts the environment. Stop deforestation, yeah, it's time for him. Well, an acre of hemp makes 20 barrels of oil. No need for pesticides to poison all our soil. People got no food, they got no clothes, they got no rent. Well, it's time for hemp. Throughout us history, hemp has been used, no mystery. Hemp was legal to pay your taxes for more than a century. Check your faxes. The founding fathers make sense to me. It's time to grow hemp legally. Think of all its uses. It's money that's well spent right now. No excuses, it's time for hemp. Sustainable green industry, that's our intent. A better place this world will be. It's time for hemp. Fueling food and clothes and soap. Housing cars, your car's no joke. Henry Ford built a car with hemp. It's time for us to do it again. People be employed with balanced farming as it's meant right now. It's time for hemp. Hemp is a true necessity for the wealth and protection of this country. Thomas Jefferson spoke those words. He knew the value of these herds. It's time to lift the hemp ban. It's time to make a strong stand. Yes, we can. I know we can. We can make a difference. Yes, we can. Just like birds of a feather. Yeah, the money that they've spent. Take another look and take some time for him. Don't cut trees for paper, 'cause it hurts the environment. Stop deforestation, yeah, it's time for him.